Hello there, Benevolent History speaking, and I'm doing a commentary battle. In this battle, I command the Thracians, and my opponent, I think his name is like Mekong-Giant-Catfish. Another interesting name. Probably from Japan, but whatever. And he's playing as the SPQR Romans. Now the Thracians, they're an okay faction. I mean, they're not as horrible as Spain or Gaul, but at the same time, the only real asset is probably the phalanx pikemen and the bastarnae, and also the folksmen. So they're basically like a weaker Greece. Basically like Greece, except weaker in infantry and archers. Look at you have a picture of these bastarnae, which are like 2 hit points each, and they're like wearing no clothes. And those are my phalanx pikemen, and these are my militia cavalry, my light cavalry. And all, I think, are basically all the Greek civilizations have. You see my opponent having 5 legionary cohorts, 6 archer auxilia. Those are long-range archers, 2 auxiliary troops in the back, and 2 Praetorian cav. Now, I found it interesting that he chose archer auxilia, and the fact that he chose that many archer auxilia, and the fact that he chose all those legionary cohorts, because most people online would use urban cohorts. Well, I find that kind of interesting. A little connection problem, but it goes away. Good thing. Yeah, you can see I moved my light cav on the flanks very quickly, and you see my formation: 4 phalanx pikemen in the front and 2 on the flanks in reserve. I want to do that in order to protect against cav strikes and protect my archers when if I flank with my archers, because the only way for me to win any infantry fight, you'll see later on, is for me to take advantage of my archers. So I have to win the missile support here, and I use my militia cavalry to help out. You can see here. You can see initially his archers are very protected. I can't attack them at all. But you can see that he makes the mistake of chasing my light cav with his heavy cav, and you see he just left a huge gap in his line. I took advantage of it. See that? And then he moves his other cavalry, and that archer auxilia becomes very vulnerable. See that? And you see that? So I just aim for it. I just keep on constantly attacking like this. You can see that archer auxilia that I just targeted right now. Even though I am losing militia cav, it's worth losing, because then I'd get the archer advantage. I'm gonna chase down a little bit of routing units, and my unit that routed at the very beginning came back. Yeah, it's worth losing these light cav, especially when you have this many light cav. Really, it's worth losing them to take out this many archers. Just don't be very careless with light cav. I mean, they die very, very easily. You see, I quit attacking. I probably should have just kept on attacking, but using many light cav like this kind of strains your micromanagement a bit. So I just made all those militia cav onto skirmish mode, so that they skirmish by themselves. Now I see his all his legionary cohorts moving up at once, so I not really quickly, I probably should have reacted fast. I put all my phalanx pikemen in tight formation, and I was surprised that he just charged right away with his general unit, because normally when you fight as Romans, it's best to use your pillar first, your spears first, to damage all those phalangites first before you actually engage them head on like that. See, I'm retreating all my infantry, and you can see I'm putting all my archers on the flanks, on his right flank, well, on my right flank. See, I just put the bastarnae up here, and I put the bastarnae guard mode, and I charged my phalanx pikemen in. Now, I probably played very I didn't control my infantry as well as I should have here. And my archers, a few of them get caught, 2 of them I believe. You see here that his legionary cohorts, even if they're legionary cohorts, they could still totally destroy phalanx pikemen. I mean, the phalanx pikemen is the best that Thrace has to offer in phalanx units. And that's pretty bad compared to Greeks or other phalanx or other Hellenistic factions. See here that I'm trying to protect my guys from routing, and you can see I just routed all those legionary cohorts because I used flaming missiles, which did a morale effect. Now I made a major blunder here. I should have just kept on attacking, just not non-stop attacked his legionary cohorts. Instead, I was very reluctant to engage my phalanx pikemen. I should not have been as reluctant. I lost more men that way. See my general routed. And this, even though I routed a lot of his dudes, this is still a very close battle because Thrace, as with other minor factions, are very difficult to win against Rome as if your opponent is competent. Even if your opponent is incompetent, still, even if your opponent is not the best player, it's still rather annoying and difficult to defeat the major factions with minor factions like Thrace. See here that I retreat all my dudes and abandon that phalanx pikeman over there. Cause I figured that at this point, if I just keep on attacking, I'll probably lose. What I did was a questionable decision, though. I probably shouldn't have done this. Just kept on attacking. See, I lost a lot of my infantry. You can see though that his legionary cohorts are just standing there, even if they're very few in number. They could totally just annoy me very much. And here I failed to really get a good attack on his legionary cohorts. I probably should have engaged with 1 phalanx pikeman and left the other one in reserve, the other 2 in reserve. Because you see that I left a little giant gap for his legionaries to exploit, and so they could actually get through my spears and attack my phalangites in this hand-to-hand combat. The general unit came back from routing. Now with my archers are continuously shooting flame arrows at his flanks. I charged my general unit at the back. It all looks pretty good for me, right? It's like it looks pretty good for me at this point. Flame arrows at the flanks, but then he charges his Praetorian cav in. Because Thracians have no heavy cav to begin with, my plan begins to just fall apart right now. My general routs. What a pansy, the second time. And then my 2 phalanx pikemen, they just bite the dust and just rout. You see the hammer and anvil, boom, routed. So right now I only have 1 phalanx pikeman, my 6 archers, and about 3 militia cav. However, this whole entire battle of attrition allowed me to do a lot of damage against his men. You can see though that even though I've basically lost a ton of basically all of my infantry, I have lots of archers still, and that basically made the difference. I would be dead if I didn't have any of those archers. If I didn't have any, I wouldn't be able to shoot flame arrows in the flanks. I wouldn't be able to rout any of his infantry, because his infantry are much more tougher than mine. It's like, if you're gonna battle Rome with Thrace, you're gonna be at an archer disadvantage, a cav disadvantage, and an infantry disadvantage. So basically, unless your opponent is not as skilled, Unless your opponent's not as skilled, then again, if you're gonna use Thrace against Rome, you're basically screwed, really. So here that I maneuver my infantry so that his troops are at the back. His troops backs are in range of my bowmen, so that my bowmen will be at the back of his men whenever his men engage my infantry, so that I could shoot them from the behind and totally just annihilate them. See here, my opponent says good game. He sees that futile at this point. His name is Mekong-Giant-Catfish. Okay. Yep. This isn't really I personally never play minor factions against any clan members. I only play minor factions against people who are not in clans. That doesn't mean I think that all clan people are noobs. Well, not noobs. Not all clan people are bad. It's just that the majority of clan people are not as skilled. So I think it's just good practice for me to use a minor faction, and it's much more fair, I guess. It's much more. It gives my opponents a better chance of victory. Yep. Good game to my opponent, Mekong-Giant-Catfish. He played pretty well. Interesting army choice. And that was an average victory.